again, everybody, and welcome to Four Star Chicago Sports. This is the Barely There podcast. As usual, I got my boys Kyle and Jason in the house. We're hanging on this stormy Wednesday in Chicago. How you boys doing? You're not flooded out anywhere yet, are you?
Nah, it's not that bad here. I thought it was going to be worse, but it's not that bad.
Yeah, a little small hail around, but nothing too serious. Nothing like that windstorm we had this past Sunday that destroyed a ton of property. Kyle's brother is feeling some of those effects as his farm was destroyed a little bit from it. But hopefully everyone stays safe out there and you join us for a little bit and we can have a little comfortable Bears talk. And welcome in Erica, welcome in Daniel, welcome to the show. How you doing, Kyle? I haven't heard from you yet, buddy.
All right, man. Just tired. St. Patrick's Day weekend is a long weekend for bartenders.
Got to be a profitable one, though.
Sometimes. Depends on how drunk they are, Jay.
When are they never not drunk on
Depends how many walkout tabs you have. You have to close out to a $0 tip. That's what it depends on.
Yes, and really quick, as Erica is already jumping the show off for us, we appreciate you, Erica. Absolutely. The Chicago Bears added a new player, and Devin Duvernay to the roster. This gentleman is a two-time Pro Bowler and considered to be one of the best kick returners in the league. He averaged punt returns, He averaged 12 yards per punt return in his 5-year career. But it looks like the Bears made another solid move. He's a versatile player. Play a little wide out. He is a return specialist. His ability to score touchdowns on kick returns and accumulate over 4,400 return yards makes him a valuable asset in the special teams game for the Chicago Bears. He does come with that Pro Bowl pedigree. He strengthens this return game. Boys, what do you think about Devin Duvernay joining the Chicago Bears?
I think it's a good signing. I mean, we'll see how it works out. He had a slower 23. He had from like 20 to 22. That's when he hit his 2 or 3 Pro Bowls or whatever it was. And then slowed down a bit in 23. I don't know if he was injured. I didn't do too much research in it, but looked like he came back and his average went back up in 24. So, if he can get back to his Pro Bowl days, hey, maybe it was because of the rule change last year that he did better. I don't know, but hey, he seems like a pretty dynamic guy. He's actually, believe it or not, I was looking at his stats. He had a longer rush in his career than he does his longest reception. So he's more of an open field. Get him in the open field, which would be a kick returner, punt returner type of guy, and see what he can do. So I don't think he's going to be Devin Hester, but hey, man, he's got the first name right.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the most exciting of all time for the Bears, but it's definitely it's there. What's exciting is that they're starting to build this roster. There's no stone unturned, guys. They have now addressed both the offensive line, defensive line, backup wide receivers, punt returners, kick returners. You guys talked about on Monday. They've had some trouble in the return game as of late. Basically ever since Cordero Patterson left this team, they have not met good in the return game. The Bears are just crossing their T's and dotting their I's, guys. I do like what Daniel Jeffries says here, though. He says, with that signing, do you think Tyler Scott is about to get whacked? I mean, yeah, that wide receiver room is pretty crowded there. I mean, with Zacchaeus and now, I mean, he's going to be listed as a wide receiver. Somebody's going to get cut, guys, or somebody's going to the practice squad, and there's a good chance right now. I mean, the Bears are signing these guys as we speak to multi-million-dollar contracts. There's a good chance Tyler Scott is probably the odd man out, and that sucks because in my mind, guys, he was never really given a fair shot. We don't even really know what Tyler Scott is worth or how good he is, his skill set. We know nothing about him. And maybe the coaches see something we don't because we're not sitting there in practice. But it is sad to see somebody who was drafted with such high praise and promise, somebody out of Cincinnati who was a major weapon for them and had a lot of great plays for them, come to the Bears, play 12, 13 snaps, and then get cut a year and a half later. It's just kind of sad. But that's the NFL, guys. It's not for long.
Maybe he doesn't have the football smarts, but I mean, he's definitely got the speed and the physical attributes you want. But, it doesn't bode well that they just picked up a slot receiver, and that's what Tyler Scott really is. He's not taking the top off.
I mean, I know Tyler Scott's had a couple fumbles in the NFL. I don't know if that's – I mean, I don't think one of them was in the preseason, so I mean, who really cares? I mean, I don't know if that maybe is the reason. Maybe his hands are the reason that they haven't fallen in love with him, but – He seems to be the odd man out right now. I think Tyler Scott's going to have to do a lot in the preseason to make this roster.
I agree.
Yeah, and just let's take a second to welcome everybody to the show. Illinois Jones, Erica, Steve-O, Daniel, thank you guys for hanging out with us on this Wednesday. We really appreciate y'all. Keep joining in, send us some stuff. Erica says, best punt returner, kick returner we've had since Devin Hester. In her opinion, he just might be that guy because we haven't really had one.
No, that's not that guy that they signed for Miami. I don't know why I always forget his name. I think it started with a G, right? That little guy that they signed for Miami a few years ago. It was probably 2014, 15. He was good for the Bears. What was his name?
I know who you're talking about. He's on tip of my tongue. Oh,
he was really good for the Bears. Bruce, maybe you can find that for us, man.
Was he a punt returner?
Punt returner, kick returner. He was listed as a wide receiver, but he was primarily a special teamer. He said he was a real small guy, fast, quick, gadgety type player. They signed him from the Dolphins. I think it had to be somewhere around 14, 15, 16, somewhere in there. He was a good player for the Bears. Severely underrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you weren't a big fan of the Trent Taylors of the world?
No, I was not a big fan of the Trent Taylors of the world. Cordell Patterson was also good here. He just played so much on offense that his special teams was limited for the Chicago Bears. I mean, the start of his career, he was almost primarily a special teamer, and he was a really good returner. And didn't he score a touchdown for the Bears too, Cordell Patterson? Didn't he have a couple?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He just didn't play as well as he did in Atlanta. I mean, I wish he was like that guy in Atlanta for the Bears.
Yeah.
But.
Jakeem Grant.
Yes, Jakeem Grant. That was the guy that the Bears signed, and he was severely underrated here. He was a good returner for the Bears.
What's up, brother?
What's up, Steve?
What's up, brother?
Broski Bears here.
What's up, Broski Bear? It's obvious. It's obvious when you have a terrible returner. Yeah, I mean, again, these are moves that don't really get you excited, but they could be key moves that help elevate this team, helping you set up, get the offense set up in good position, things of that nature. And the Bears were busy also, bringing in some other people. They re-signed Travis Homer to a 1-year, $2 million deal. They officially got Durham Smythe under contract. He signed a 1-year, $2.5 million deal with 1.5 guaranteed. And the Bears also re-signed Doug Kramer, Scott Daly. Help me out on the offensive line here, guys.
Matt Pryor.
Pryor's
back here.
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray.
All these signings are depth signings. Real quick, Illinois Jones says, how is Don Robinson still on this team? I don't think he's going to make the team next year.
I don't think he is either.
I think he's going to be cut after once they do the 53-man roster cutdowns. And then Erica says, why is Ryan Bates still on the team? And Illinois Jones responds, Bates is the backup center. He's actually a backup guard, Illinois Jones. Doug Kramer was signed to be the backup center here.
Correct.
Ryan Bates will continue to be a backup guard for the Chicago Bears, which is good because that's where he's had the most success in the NFL. Not that he's ever had a ton of success, but that's definitely where he was at his best. It's good that the Bears are worried about injuries because they've had him on the offensive line every year since 2009. They need to get this depth signed. I think the Matt Pryor signing is amazing. Guys, go look at his Pro Football Focus numbers. Matt Pryor could be a starter on any team in the NFL. And the Bears signed him to a contract worth nothing to be one of the best backup guards in the league.
And I'll tell you
Football Focus numbers last year were amazing.
Bill Murray, he didn't play that many snaps, but his numbers are even better for the short time that he was in there.
Yeah.
So
I think Matt Pryor was like top 5 in pass blocking, and I think Bill Murray was like top 8 in run blocking last year.
Yeah.
Like, you're talking about two guys who contribute. They're not just backups. I mean, these guys could even come in as like if you needed an extra lineman, like a swing tackle. Yeah. Matt Pryor is capable of playing that position as well.
I think it was just injuries that, there were so many different, iterations of the offensive line that they just couldn't click together. There were some obvious, holes, guys, obvious, at center.
And there's just no cohesiveness, and Caleb can't trust anybody because you never know who's standing in front of him.
You want to know what's funny is these backups that we just signed were our starters last year, so we're off to a really great start here. Knowing that they're backups.
You don't have to love any of these signings. You just have to love the fact the Bears are addressing every little teensy little issue they could see arising at some point in this season. Even when it comes to Travis Homer, do I love Travis Homer? No, but he's a good special teamer, and the Bears they're gonna try to dominate in all 3 phases.
I think they're all like 1-year deals too. They're not.
Yeah,
it's not.
Yeah, they're all. You can get out of them like with no problems. Daniel Jeffrey says, "Do you guys think the tackle from Texas will be there at 10?" I'm assuming he's talking about Calvin Banks. And if the tackle from LSU is still there, which one of those guys would prefer? I mean, out of those two, I'd prefer Banks for sure, no doubt about it. But there's probably a good chance Banks is taken before the Bears drafted 10. That's my guess. And another thing is, we all know Sean. Sean, you give us your take on Calvin Banks there. I don't want to speak for you.
No, if I'm picking between the two, I'm taking Calvin Banks. I'm a lesser of a Will Campbell fan. I know everyone is really high on him. I think he's going to wind up playing a guard, and I don't want to draft a guard at 10. I think if you're looking at the two, I think you have Calvin Banks has more prototypical size and arm length to be a left tackle than Will Campbell does. So I would definitely, my personal preference would be Calvin Banks, but I'm still taking Joshua Simmons over all of them.
Yeah. And honestly, I think there might be a more blue chip type player available at 10, because I don't think Calvin Banks will be there either, Kyle. You're probably, hopefully, maybe looking at a stud defensive tackle, or maybe even a good end there. Whatever, last week before we got cut off, we were messing around with a couple of those mock drafts, and there's going to definitely be a lot of people available at 10. But the drafts that we did, it seems like it's a better move for the Bears to trade down to get more picks in that second and third round. So,
yeah, I agree. I mean, I would like to see them trade back and acquire more draft capital. Like we've talked about, guys, we never know how this thing's going to shake out. For you, there's going to be somebody drafted in the top 10 that you had no idea was going to be like Michael Penix last year. Something you don't expect. It's going to happen. So it's tough to project what they're going to do with that pick when the time, when they're actually there on the clock. But I mean, for me, the Bears are close to having a complete roster here after the signings on defensive line and offensive line. Add some more draft capital and complete it. I mean, complete the roster. I'm not saying that every position on the field is going to be a top-notch player for the Chicago Bears this year, but at least now they're starting to have, you can start to see that depth. I like I've said to you guys before, we could talk about this later on, but a sneaky position, a position I would keep an eye on for the Bears in the draft that a lot of people haven't talked about is cornerback, because I don't know if the Bears know what they're going to get from Tyreek Stevenson. I don't. And I think that's a position that the Bears, you can never have enough corners, man. Ever. You can never have enough corners.
I was actually thinking about this earlier, or actually Steve, who's in the chat, him and I were just talking about this on the phone a little bit ago. And I honestly think that linebacker is a position that nobody's talking about, and a position of need for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
I don't think you take them at 10.
No. Yeah.
Maybe if there's someone there in that second round, maybe if you could end up with a Cody Simon out of the Ohio State University, something like that. I mean, it's definitely something that has to be addressed. It hasn't been addressed in free agency yet. And I mean, if you're going in, and I'm not going to butcher his name, we're just going to go with Amen. If you're going with Amen as your starting, inside linebacker, I don't know that. I mean, I don't want to rip the guy because I'm not a professional football player myself, but I don't know if that's the guy I would prefer to be starting inside the linebacker.
Well, yeah, Sean, it begs the question. I mean, there's so much you could talk about. I mean, we could just does that mean Sewell doesn't make this team? I mean, there's just so much stuff you could talk about. Like
Noah Sewell.
Yeah, Noah Sewell. He was outside linebacker. He was supposed to be like kind of a quarterback rush specialist. They really haven't used him for anything. Is that a guy who's capable of playing that position starting in the NFL? We don't know. He certainly would think he's at least as good as Jack Sanborn. He was a 4th round pick.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, Sean, it's definitely, I mean, would you be upset if the Bears drafted an outside linebacker in the 3rd round? I wouldn't. I don't know.
No.
I mean,
Here, let me pose this guy.
Dot every I.
Let me pose this question to you. If the Bears, and not saying this is going to happen, chat, or anything like that, but would you guys be upset if they went with Campbell at 10, Jihad Campbell from Alabama?
I would not be unhappy with that. That guy's a physical animal.
Yeah. Let me ask you guys this.
Hold on really quick. I just wanted to address this. Illinois John, before we can move on. Yes, today the Chicago Bears had Mr. Josh Cornley in for a Connerly, excuse me. Yes, for a top 30 visit. He also has one scheduled with the Falcons, the Bengals, the Texans, the Saints, the Eagles, and the Commanders. So he's had 12 formal meetings also at the NFL Combine. So is he a guy that maybe 39 or 41 you guys would be interested in? in backing
Well,
up.
that's what I was going to say. Like Sean, I was going to ask you, or Jay, you too. We've seen all these. We saw the 3 signings in the offensive line for the interior of the offensive line, right? Both guards in the center position. We saw the backup guards and backup center sign. What we have not seen is the Bears sign a backup tackle. Now I know Karan Amagaji is on the roster, but man, if you go look at the tape last year, I don't think that guy's a tackle. I just don't. Not in the NFL. Does that lead you guys to believe that if they don't sign a backup tackle in the next couple of weeks here, that is what they're going to target in the draft? So I mean, you guys, you can't.
I think so.
You can't go into the season without a backup tackle. I mean, if Braxton Jones or Darnell Wright go down right now, the Bears are in just as bad of a spot as they were last year.
Yeah,
I think to answer that question, the answer is probably both. Who do they value higher? I don't know. It looks like the offensive line might be more shored up than anything else. So if you're drafting for depth, probably not a starter. I will say this: we have 2 older defensive tackles, right? With Grady, and I think Billings is 30, believe it or not.
yeah, he's a little bit up there.
So I don't know how long those guys are going to be with the team. So who do they value higher? I think it's all going to come down to who's available at 10. If neither of the guys that they want are there at 10, but they maybe value another guy that's, they can maybe pick up at
it should be BAP, right?
20, maybe they draft down and get their tackle or their or their offensive tackle. But
they've put themselves in position for BAP. That's what what all these signings have done for them. That's the best case scenario.
And I'll come on here and say I'm absolutely wrong. I know most draft prospect guys and pundits are saying that Campbell's going to move into the guard position. He's a little bit better fit in the NFL. I just Google searched it just to double check, and they're saying that, yes, they think he's going to move to a guard position when he's drafted. I'm not saying he can't be a good left tackle. I just think there's more questions around him. And I think when you get to the Kelvin Banks, Kelvin Banks is at least going to start his NFL career as a left tackle. If it doesn't work out, maybe they'll move him into the guard like they did like Becton, who started off as a tackle, moved in, and he's a massive guard now. But I think if you're looking for a left tackle with no question marks, you go Kelvin Banks. But that's just me. I respect your opinion too, Illinois Jones, 100%. So,
what's fun
Illinois,
about this
is
draft?
Indiana your cousin?
What's fun about this draft is the fact that for the first time in a long time, I mean, we've heard the Bears talk about tight end. We've heard the Bears talk about running back. We've heard the Bears talk about offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, corner, safety, wide receiver, number 3 wide receiver. I mean, it literally can go any which way they want to go in this draft at any given moment. And there's no reason for a Bears fan to be disappointed. If you trust in Ben Johnson, if you trust in this process, then he's going to go get what he thinks is most important to running this scheme or this system here. And if they decide that first round should be a number 3 wide receiver, so be it. If that's what he thinks is most important in making this system successful and putting Caleb Williams in the best position to succeed, then I'm on board. Until the Bears are 0-8, I'm going to buy into Ben Johnson and everything that he brings to the table. I just have no reason I have no reason to doubt him. I think he's still one of the best offensive play callers in the NFC, and I think he's going to be a really good head coach.
And Illinois Jones, I know who you're trying to say there. That's Nick Emanwari. If they did trade back and they ended up with Emanwari, I would be perfectly happy with that.
Yeah, there's another. That's what I'm saying.
Steve says he preferred to trade down if the top guy needs to get more. I agree 100%. I think we've all talked about moving back into that 15 to 20 spot and picking up a couple picks, man. If you can get at least one more in the 3rd round, maybe pick up the 4th. Is it the 4th round the one we don't have right now? We don't have a
4th and 6th.
So, I mean, if you trade back and end up with a 4th, I mean, even an extra, even an extra 3rd, I think we'd be okay. And Broski Bear, TJ Edwards last year of his contract. Bears can get out of Edmonds' contract after the season. Sanborn is gone. Yeah, and that's kind of what I was saying. Like, we've done all these draft shows. The 3 of us, we never even looked at linebacker, and you don't hear a lot of draft experts for the Bears even bringing up a linebacker, but I think it is a thin position. And me personally, I would be okay. I really want them to re-sign and bring back TJ Edwards, so I hope he gets an extension to stay here in Chicago.
Tackle machine.
Yeah.
Steve says next year is the 4th. I thought 6th this year. This year we are also down a 4th, Steve, because of Keenan Allen. But we traded a 4th for Keenan Allen. But yeah, we're down a 4th next year as well. And we're down a 6th this year because of Jonah Jackson. So We'll be
And I'm
down
gonna-
our 4th both years and our 6th this year.
If I can find our draft
And the
picks,
4th
that I-
next year is for Joe Tooney, which I have no problem.
Which is a
There, we
steal.
got the draft picks scrolling at the bottom.
Yeah, it's just going to be interesting. I mean, literally, Sean, we've done these drafts together.
I mean,
We've
look,
watched these drafts.
those
early
mocks
shoots
we
together.
did, we wound up with like Landon Jackson.
What's that?
Next year is the 4th, I think.
What was that, Jay?
Oh, I said those mock drafts we did, we traded down. We didn't go for a linebacker, but we still, I feel, got like a top tier tackle, offensive tackle, and I think a couple times got like Landon Jackson. So,
Well, let me ask you guys this: what to you guys, and like we talked about, the Bears could strengthen this team in many different ways, right? We know that, but what is the biggest position of need? Is it defensive end or running back? Because I think the general consensus is one of those two positions. Now, you could also upgrade the left tackle, but I don't think I'd consider Braxton Jones to be like the biggest position of need. I think that guy could still be an average tackle in the NFL. So,
and maybe better with Tooney right next to him now. So,
I mean, at some point, you'd like to see the Bears get one of those dominant defensive ends, like dominant 12, 16, 18 sack kind of guys. This, according to the experts, this draft may be the draft to go get one of those guys, and maybe even a little bit later than the first round.
I do. I'd love to see the Bears defense return to dominance. So, you know, if we pick a stud defensive tackle, for some reason we have Mason Graham there, or whatever, we get him, or we do pick up Landon Jackson, I'll be very, very happy. If we land a stud running back, I'll be very, very, whoever it is at 10 or that first round pick, I would assume we're still going to wind up picking in the first round, even if we draft down. As long as it's a stud, I'll be fine with it. I don't want some unknown, you know, we lucked out with Brian Urlacher. I just don't want, I don't want an old guy. You know, I want a young kid. I want, you know, I want somebody special. We've pretty much went through the whole draft the last like month and a half, but I don't want it to be somebody nobody's ever heard of. That's what I'll
tell you this, man. The Bears have had a great history of drafting linebackers. You know,
Yep.
I mean, from Briggs to Urlacher to, I mean, even a Hunter Hillenmeyer type to, I mean, Roquan Smith was 8th overall pick in the draft. You know, I mean, they've had
Wasn't he 7?
I think he was 8. I think he was 8 overall. But I mean, regardless, they've had a lot of success, and that's why I was kind of thinking, man, if you burn a pick here and you feel confident, you know, I mean, I guess you'd have to trade back. I'm not even sure where Campbell's going. I don't know too many linebackers in this draft, and I haven't heard a lot of their names, so I don't know if this is a like big time linebacker draft outside of Campbell. I'd have to look into that, and I haven't, because again, like we've discussed, it's not a position that we were looking at for the Chicago Bears, but it is a position thin. And as Broski Bear points out, you know, Bears are dangerous thin at safety too. You know, Byard, saying Byard was old. Byard was solid last year. I mean, he was a
He's one of the
baller.
best Bears, guys.
Jonathan Owens wasn't that bad either.
All the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
What I'd like to see is them try to find a guy who's kind of like a Brian Branch, who can be like a hybrid safety / linebacker. That would be great for the Bears. That would be absolutely huge for them.
Ooh, you know what? That might be something Dennis Allen's looking at, because he can disguise his coverage is better that way.
That's right.
I mean,
Phil.
there's not that many Brian Branches out there. I think that guy's absolutely phenomenal. I think he's
Oh,
one of the best draft picks the Lions have had in the last 10 years. But if there is one out there and they could find one, that you could shore up 2 positions with 1 pick. That would be absolutely amazing. That guy is a stud, man. Absolute stud. And you know, it's not like he's not going to show up all over the stat sheet, but he can do whatever they want him to do, and he does it very well. Whatever they ask of him, he does very well.
Who are you referring to, Kyle?
Branch from the Lions, or
Branch.
Urlacher, who was drafted as a safety and eventually moved to linebacker. But a guy like that, a kind of hybrid kind of player, I think if they could find somebody like that, that would be huge for them.
Yeah, and Erica, I mean, I know you're a great follower and you're in the chat, and I know you've heard us talk about Landon Jackson. We are 100% in agreement with you. We love Landon Jackson. Dustin and Brandon love Landon Jackson. He seems to be an absolute freak of an athlete for his size. I would love if he were there at 41 and the Bears took him, I'd probably be pretty ecstatic about that. So.
Yeah, well, Broski says Branch is a hybrid safety linebacker. I mean, no, the position, he's not listed as a linebacker, but he sneaks up into the box and basically ends up playing the linebacker position on a lot of the plays in Detroit there. So I'm not talking about like what they list him as in the roster, but kind of like Kyler Gordon. You know, Kyler Gordon is almost like at some points is almost like a hybrid outside linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
He's listed as corner and would probably be listed as corner safety before linebacker, but he can get after the quarterback quarterback as well off the edge. Those are the type of guys you want. The guys who are like Jason's talked about it a million times on this podcast. Guys, you want guys who are not afraid of adversity. Guys who are willing to play numerous different roles for your team. It's huge in baseball. It's becoming more popular in football. You want as many of those guys as you possibly get. That's why I like the Deo signing a lot, because if you do it like Jason was talking about, how the tackles are old. If you do lose Billings or Grady Jarrett, Deo can slide into the inside guys, and so can Montez Sweat. Those are the type of players that the Bears have been looking for.
Yeah, there's a lot of versatility on the line, and I think that's exactly the players they're looking for. That's kind of players that Dennis Allen is looking for himself. That's why I don't know, Kyle, we had this discussion about Deo. I know you weren't, you think they paid too much for him because he does the same thing as Montez Sweat. I am on the other side. I think that he's going to set his career numbers at sacks this year in this Bears offense. I think.
So I don't know if this makes sense, but I don't think the Bears paid too much for him. I think in the standards of the NFL, he was overpaid. Does that make sense? There's nothing to do with my personal opinion.
But as you say that, if he ends up this season with 10 to 12 sacks, do you still think he was overpaid?
No, but there's the question mark, right? Like, so you're paying him for the question mark. Are you capable? You paid him to ask him, are you capable of getting us 12 sacks? And nobody knows that. But he was paid like he's going to get you 12 sacks.
And they believe at him. They believe in him at 25 as a young ascending player in the league. So I'm just trying to look. What was his career high in sacks? Was it 6? Oh,
yeah, Broski. Do you guys understand what I'm saying with those players who can sneak up on the line and almost act like a fourth linebacker on the field? Broski says Branch and Gordon. Yeah, Broski. I know they don't play linebacker. That's not what I'm saying. They're almost like hybrid player. They could play in the box. They could play outside. They could play outside the numbers. They could play free safety. They could do whatever you want them to do. That's what I'm talking about. Just one of those guys who's good at everything. Really good at tackling.
Which is basically the definition of what a nickel is, right? That nickel is actually a safety, not a defensive back.
Exactly.
But they're big enough to play corner, safety, linebacker, depending on what the coverage is and what the play call is.
You can ask them to get after the quarterback. You can ask them to sneak up in the run game. You can ask them to drop deep, cover tight ends, cover running backs out of the backfield. You can ask them to cover wide receivers if it's necessary. They can basically do everything. They're usually the most athletic guys on the defense, which I think Kyler Gordon is probably one of the most athletic players in the entire NFL. I mean, you guys have seen the videos of him doing his dance routine and all that stuff. He's a very, very athletic guy. Illinois Jones. This is my favorite comment of the day right here, guys. I think we all agree with you here, Illinois Jones. If Mason Graham somehow dropped to 10, I think the decision is made for the Chicago Bears.
Yes, you don't draft down.
You don't have to do much more research there.
Yeah.
I agree 100% with that. I would love for him to fall down. It looks like there's a possibility that he might. So
what if he's gone, but his teammate Kenneth Grant is available?
I think that's a trade back for me on Grant. I mean, not at 10. I love Kenneth Grant, and I mean he could prove to be, that player, but I think we lost Kyle here. I think the Cylons got him.
Cylons might have got him.
Cylons got Kyle. Come on, Kyle, come back to us.
If it wasn't the Cylons, it was Skynet.
It was Skynet. Let's see. Are you guys worried? No, I think that Tooney deal is going to get done.
Difficulties? Are you guys having technical difficulties here?
No, you get frozen for a bit.
I'm going to leave the studio and come back in here again.
Every week, it's one of us. It's crazy. It's
ever since these. Yeah.
What you call it? I do think, Erica. I do think that Joe Tooney's going to get extended. I think they're just working out some money, and I think they're going to back end it and free up some more cap space this year. That's going to be my guess. I don't have any inside information on that, but I think that's what they're going to do. I also think that I still do and hope, as I have penned article on Kyler Gordon being re-signed by the Chicago Bears. I still think that's a priority, and they just kind of fixed the roster. But I do think Tooney will be extended at least maybe I'm going to say 2 years. And then Kyler Gordon hopefully gets 4 with a 5th-year option would be my guess on that. I hope.
Hey guys, my power's coming in and out here, so and I have a wireless router, so you might lose me here, just so you guys know.
Okay.
I'll tell you what. I wouldn't be surprised if they extend Tooney to even like a 3 or 4 year deal, because if you're trying to move money around for cap space availability, you kind of maybe want a little bit of a longer contract. But he's good as long as he's healthy. I don't see any reason why he can't play another 3 or 4 or 5.
I don't know if you want him at 36 years old, but yeah, they're definitely going to extend him to move some of that money around for sure. There's no doubt about it.
Hey, Kyle, too. If you do lose it, you could try your hotspot. I had to use my hotspot a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I can see if I can get back into my phone, but I mean, my lights are flickering here, so I mean, it's coming down pretty good here. I don't know how it is around you guys, but
it's pretty nasty.
Pretty
nasty.
gross out.
Broski, I don't know if there's a good enough receiver at 10 there for the Bears to waste a pick on that. I mean, you're right. We do need a wide receiver, but I don't know how many wide receivers you really want to carry on your team. We've got 4 or 5 on the roster right now, so.
What if the Bears, and I know that we've been doing this a little bit in our mocks, using that 3rd round pick on a slot guy. What if the Bears slid in at 39 or 41 and they wound up with a Luther Burden? Because it seems like for some reason Luther Burden's slipping in this draft, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because that dude I think is going to be a big time stud, even though he's from Missouri. I still think he's going to be doing. I think he's going to do all right in the league. What are your guys' thoughts on 39 or 41 if Burden was still there?
I like Burden a lot, man. I think he's going to be a really good player in the NFL. I also like Restrepo a lot, man. I think Restrepo is actually even a little underrated in this draft. And I know he's not. It's not like they have him go in the 5th round or anything like that. But I think he's better than people think. I think he's going to be a very good slot receiver in the NFL. He kind of reminds me of that Ladd McConkey, that Julian Edelman type style player. He just seems to be a guy who's really good at route running and getting open. And that's what's better to ask for from a guy, a quarterback in his 2nd year learning a new system, than a guy who's constantly open. That like what Cooper Kupp was when he first came in the NFL. I think a player like that would be great for Caleb Williams. Absolutely. I can't overstate how huge Keenan Allen was for Caleb Williams in the last 6 weeks of last season. He bailed him out a lot.
When he wasn't dropping the ball.
And I'll tell you this. I like Phil. If they traded back to 16, 17, that I would be okay with Kenneth Grant there. I love Kenneth Grant. I think he's a little bit underrated in this draft, and he's going to make a pretty big splash.
He's a boy too.
Yeah, he's an eater. He's a body eater in the middle of that line. And not only that, I mean, we watched that video of him catching Craytron Allen 30 yards down the field. He's athletic. I love Kenneth Grant a lot. And, I mean, he seems to be falling to the 2nd round. He could be there at 39. If the Bears win 39 and 41 and ended up with Kenneth Grant or Derek Harmon, and then we're able to get Landon Jackson, holy crap, would the defense be absolutely loaded with Deo, Jackson, Sweat, Grant, and that rotation in the middle would be fantastic. So I would be all for Mr. Kenneth Grant joining the Chicago Bears.
There's one thing too. I was looking up the salary caps. The Bears actually, I feel, have gotten a little bit younger. I know they've got Tooney on there, but the oldest guy, Tooney's 33. You know who the oldest guy on the team is right now?
For the Bears?
Yeah.
Tooney?
Nope.
Tooney.
Close. Cairo Santos.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, Mort Anderson played till he was 52 years old.
That's what I mean. After Tooney, we got a couple of 30-year-olds, but my biggest concern would be on the defensive line with Brady and being over 30. But
yeah, I'm not really worried about the kicker's age, but the Bears do need to start trying to get younger. I agree with you guys. I mean, I like what the Bears are doing here. I think we all know what they're doing, right, guys? I mean, the Bears know they're going to have to pay Caleb Williams in 2 years. They're going to have to. And per new league rules, they cannot extend him until 2 years from now, because they have these protections in place for these players, so they can't get underpaid. Basically saying, we know you're trying to pay him now because you know that those standards are going to go up and up and up and keep going. That bar is going to keep getting set higher and higher and higher. But they're spending all their money right now trying to build a good roster around Caleb Williams so they have the opportunity to win a Super Bowl when he's still in a rookie contract. And I think they're doing it right. And then in the meantime, what they're going to do is start drafting these guys who we consider backups right now, right? Like Sean, if they drafted Grant, he would probably still be on the roster behind Grady Jarrett and Billings and Dexter. But eventually, when one of those guys retires or you decide to part ways with them, the goal is for those guys to then just come in and have like this seamless transition. Guys who have been on this team for 2 or 3 years and can just step in that role.
Yeah, and though, but if you have a Kenneth Grant, you have that rotation. I mean, you're keeping everyone fresh.
You can never have enough defensive tackles, man, because those guys get tired. They get tired pretty quick.
Hey, we saw what happened last year when we were thin at that position. The Bears were an open gap for running backs in the NFL.
You probably want 4 or 5.
Not to get off subject, but I just want to talk really quick with you guys about we have touched on this in the last couple of weeks, and this was the massive legendary contract that Derek Stingley just signed for what was it? I can't even remember what it was. It was massive compared to Jalen Johnson at 19 a year. What was Stingley? I mean, he's the highest paid DB in the history of the NFL.
Like $3 or $105 million or something. It was insane.
Yeah, it was absolutely nuts. I'm looking at it right now. 3 years. Where's Derek Stingley?
90 million? I think it was 90 million.
Yeah, 3 years, 90 million. Guys, I know we bagged on our boy Ryan Poles a little bit, but how good does that Jalen Johnson contract look right now with Derek Stingley making $30 million a year?
Sean, the DJ Moore contract looks a lot better now. The Andrew Billings contract is the best contract the Bears have ever signed. I mean, he was ranked number 1 against the run for defensive tackles the year he got to the Bears, and he was making like $4 million a year or something.
I think he's making $2 million a year this year. $2 million.
It's insane,
or something like that. He's not a very big cap hit.
And then since the T. Higgins and the Jamar Chase signings, I mean, DJ Moore is like, damn, I should have waited another year, dude.
Well, Andrew Billings is making $2 million this year.
How much?
Yeah, that's amazing. It's an amazing contract.
$2 million.
$2 million for Andrew Billings.
Who was that?
Andrew Billings.
Andrew Billings.
Oh, Andrew Billings. Yeah, this is his last year in the contract too. So you're starting to see a lot of these contracts coming up. So drafting these dudes at these positions are going to be huge. At D-line, linebacker, safety. I mean, this is a nice safety class where you can grab. I mean, we looked at what's his name? We did on Castro. Castro had a visit with the Chicago Bears as well, the Iowa safety.
Of course, because that's the guy. Remember, we did the safety show. I'm like, of all the safeties we've done today, that's the guy I like. I just, after watching all the tape for all of them, he stands out the least of all of them, because the rest of the guys that you guys were sending me and I was watching their tape, you're constantly hearing their name over. And I'm not just talking about highlights. I'm talking about if you're watching like whole halves of game, you hear their name on almost every single play. Castro's not the same to me. He's just not the guy who stands out on every single play. He's not like the best athlete of the bunch, but I wouldn't be upset if they drafted Castro. I just wouldn't do it until at least, I'd say maybe if you could somehow get a pick in the 4th round.
Yeah.
5th round.
I think that's where he's falling too.
Yeah. I mean, that's where he should be drafted.
Yeah. He's not at the top of the list, but Harry, if you're going to do that, just take my boy Latham Ransom and call it a day.
There's a couple of guys that I think are going to be available at safety and wide receiver in those later rounds that I think are going to have some really good production. They're probably more like 3rd and 4th round guys. Unfortunately, we don't have a 4th rounder, which sucks. But there's a lot of talent out there, so it's just fun and interesting to watch.
It stinks because those 5th, 4th, 5th, 6th round picks are crapshoots, guys. I mean, we all liked Tyler Scott. We all liked him. Everybody on the spot, all the Bears fans, I never heard anybody when the Bears drafted Tyler Scott say, man, that guy just looks like he sucks. He's not going to be good in the NFL. Everybody liked him. He was good at Cincinnati. He was part of that team that was like almost undefeated, I think. But sometimes it's a tough transition from the collegiate level to the NFL.
Erica brings up a name right here that I would be very interested in, because all this guy's done in his career is hunt quarterbacks. Yep. I would love Zadarius Smith to become a Chicago Bear. I mean, he is a professional quarterback hunter. So I would be, yes. And yes, Broski, I was actually going to talk about Cam Robinson, and Jason corrected me and said, hey, I think he just signed with the Texans. And so, yes, that is true. He just signed a 1-year deal with the Texans. Actually, Bears on SI, Brian Perez did an article on it about 4 or 5 hours ago.
And then like an hour later, he got signed.
Yeah. It happens. It happens, you know. So,
Illinois Jones is asking, do you guys think both Gordon and Brisker get extended? I do not think
Gordon, yes.
Brisker will be extended, guys. It's just your best ability in the NFL's availability. He hasn't shown that this far. I like him as a player. I have no disrespect to him whatsoever at all. He's a very good player, but you got to be on the field, guys. At the end of the day, if Tevin Jenkins had been healthy for the Bears since they moved him to guard, he would have been extended here, and they would not have traded for Jonah Jackson. But his biggest problem was staying on the field. That was it.
Really quick too, Gordon and Brisker getting extended, and yes, that's another good one. Broski Bear, J.C. Horn, 4 years, $100 million, 72 guaranteed. I mean, all these contracts are making Poles look like a financial genius. And Gordon and Brisker, yes, Gordon definitely. Brisker,
he is a financial
I love Brisker. I love Brisker. I just need to see him healthy for 17 games or at least 15 games without a concussion problem before I re-up him. And I love Brisker, but his style of play isn't long for the NFL, in my opinion, and obviously.
And all these secondary contracts are making that contract Detroit signed with Reed a lot better too, man. That is absurd. That guy, I mean, they basically signed him for nothing. What was it, 3 years, $48 million? Now you're looking at these guys. He may have been the best available secondary player in free agency, and they got him for 3 years, 40. Carlton Davis got 3 years, $60 million. That guy sucks. He's awful, man.
What you call it? Erica brings up Pat Bryant. This show loves Pat Bryant. Well, this guy does. I know Brandon and Kyle's brother does. Him and I share a little man crush on Pat Bryant. I would love to see Pat Bryant in the Chicago in a Bears uniform. I think that would be fantastic. And we get into this Judkins conversation. Brandon, Trax, I know you guys love Judkins. I'm not opposed to Judkins. I don't know that he's the best back in the draft, let's just say. I know he showed out in the national championship game, but I will say this. Trayvon Henderson also got them there, because he was showing out in the games before that, because he's a big time play splash play guy. You saw Judkins repeatedly get caught. He doesn't have that long speed. That, when you bust through that hole, I don't want you getting caught at the 5-yard line. I want you in the end zone, and that was one of his problems. On top of that, I said this on Monday when we were talking about him a little bit. He's had 739 carries in college. It's a lot of tread on those tires, guys. I don't know. When you look at a guy like, even Genty, 660 touches in the last 2 years, man. That's a lot of tread on those tires. So, and again, if Judkins is here, I'm going to be a big fan. I'll probably buy a jersey. I'm going to root for the guy. I'm not going to root against the Chicago Bears. So,
Sean, the experts agree with you. Judkins is, I think, right now projected to be the fifth best running back in this draft, isn't it? So he obviously is behind GNT. He's behind North Carolina running back. He's behind. He's third, 3 or 4 or 5. So that's not to say that these guys are wrong and Judkins won't end up being the best of the bunch. But right now,
he might be available at 10. We just don't take him.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll tell you this, Broski, we did a profile on Jalen Noel when we did our wide receiver show. I really like Jalen Noel. The guy that I really like, and I don't know, I can't remember if he's a slot. I'd have to go back and look, is Jaden Higgins out of Iowa State, the other Iowa State wide receiver. I love Jaden Higgins a lot. I think he's going to do very, very well in the NFL. Long for it. Let's see, what do we got here? Smith has played on every team in the NFC. That's right. So let's get him here. She's referring to the Darius Smith. Let's get him. Let's get the complete sweep of the NFC North.
Vernon, Sean did mention the wear and tear on Ashton Jeanty. He said he touched the ball. What was it, Sean?
660 times the last 2 years. That's a lot, man.
That is a lot for a young kid.
Yeah,
but
100%.
You never know what you're going to get out of these guys. It's a crapshoot. We'll see what happens. I think the fact that we're all sitting here wondering which one of these running backs is going to be the best is a good problem for the Bears to have, because they need a running back and they can find one somewhere in this draft, no doubt about it. It's one of the deepest running back drafts I've seen in a long time, and I can assure you guys the Bears are going to walk out of this draft with one of them. Just don't.
Yeah, 100%. And I hate to bring it up, but hold on, let me see if this is it. This is just this style of play. And actually, he puts his head down, came back in. I agree with you, Broski Bear. You can't extend this guy just on the simple fact that you just don't know what you're going to get out of him. Great player, plays with all of his heart. These are all
Sean's using an example. Him forcing a fumble. I don't know. Can't extend this guy. You can't extend this guy.
Yeah.
He's making a huge play.
Let me ask you a question. How many times do we see him after that?
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing. I just think it's funny that that's the one you chose to use. It's like showing Tua throw a touchdown, we'll get knocked out.
He's got to learn how to not. You don't need like a super hard hit every damn time, especially when you're closer to the line of scrimmage like he was there. Sometimes you just got to make a hit, wrap a guy up, and hope, hopefully your teammates are going to be there to help you out. You don't need to
swarm the ball, man.
Gary
That's
Stensick
going to be
hit.
taught by Dennis Allen. They're going to swarm the ball, man. He is by all accounts a top 5 defensive coordinator in the NFL. This is going to be a much different defense than we've seen in the past. I don't think Matt Eberflus is a terrible defensive coordinator. I just think Matt Eberflus had too much on his plate. And people are in the chat, or people I've talked to around the bar are so quick. They want to get Tremaine Edmonds out of here so bad. But like, I am curious to see what Dennis Allen can do with Tremaine Edmonds, because before Tremaine Edmonds came to the Chicago Bears, guys, he was a Pro Bowler. So we'll see what happens when he's under a new coach. They might change his position up, his responsibilities up a little bit. He could end up being a very good player. So,
and I don't hate Judkins. There's a lot of praise that this guy is the next coming of, and his speed. He's not a speed back. He's a power back. He's going to get running between the tackles. He'll break an occasional 10, 15-yard run. But if his speed don't play in college, guess what, guys? The NFL is a hell of a lot faster. So that's all I'm saying. You guys are this guy is him when there's other faster backs that are more complete than him in this draft. And that's all I'm saying. And I just said it. If he gets drafted by the Chicago Bears, I may even buy his jersey. I hope he turns out to be one of the best running backs the Bears have had in a long time. But if he doesn't, then he's not.
I'm sorry, guys. And maybe Judkins is the second best, but you guys, but Ashton Jeanty is the best running back in this draft. I see it. Even if his numbers were a little inflated because he played against poor defense, he's still going to be a very good player in the NFL. He is the real deal.
You got to really consider, though, just because Mel Kiper or Daniel Jeremiah rate a guy at whatever, that doesn't mean that's where the Bears rate the guy, right? Teams are going to have a little bit more inside information. So you might say, like, hey, Ashton Jeanty's awesome, but he doesn't fit what we want to do. Yeah. So that's why the Bears might not take him. They may think Judkins is a great player, but I'm actually looking for a speedier guy, or I'm looking for a more elusive guy. I don't really know what the Bears are looking for, but that's going to play a lot into all their decisions, obviously. But we don't know what they want. I don't know if how involved he was with the Lions and their draft picks. Does he want a super speedy Jahmyr Gibbs? I don't know. Is he happy with our running backs now? I don't know. We'll find out on draft day, in probably the second or third round what they want to do with running back.
The Bears were about this close, guys, to sign Kareem Hunt. So yeah, they're definitely interested in a running back. I don't think they're happy with the room they got there. They're definitely going to add a running back at some point from somewhere. I don't know who, how, where, or when, but there's definitely going to be a running back added to this team. I just think, a lot of people talk about Gianti and the lack of competition, but I've watched hours of his tape, guys. He breaks tackles. He does a lot. He's a very good athletic player. He's going to be a good player in the NFL. Is he going to be the best of anybody in this draft? I don't know. But right now, if you had to rank them, he has to be at the top. He has to. And the guy, what he did in college was absolutely unbelievably amazing.
Well, 29 touchdowns. He beat people the way you would want a really good player to beat that type of competition.
Right? It's not like he was running through open holes, guys, and not being touched. I mean, this guy is bouncing off people, juking, spinning. I mean, he is the real deal. He's the real deal, man. He's going to be a good running back.
We got our weekly drop in from T. He's off-season champ.
Yeah, Broski Bear is on one today, guys. I think he had a long day or something.
Yeah. and I agree with you, man. And I agree with you, Trax. It depends on scheme. And I said this about Jeanty, and I don't feel the same way about Judkins. But I think Genty's a very good player. I think scheme dependency is going to be huge to his success in the NFL. I don't think he's a player that will create without help. And I'm just going off of him, watching him and his quickness and his speed against a Penn State defense that was one of the best in the country, where he struggled to get to the hole before it closed as Penn State defenders were collapsing the hole. He wasn't getting there. And if you're comparing Mountain West defenses to the NFL, you're talking probably 5 ticks higher opposed to the Big Ten, where you're talking, maybe 3. So there's a huge difference. There's not a lot of players. I'll be very interested to see how many players on the Mountain West outside of Genty are drafted to be NFL football players. There's going to be a ton in the.
We
from
could
the
go
Big
back.
Ten.
This conversation go on for hours, but you've heard me say this 1,000 times. People
Yeah,
said the
okay.
same shit about Caleb Williams, guys. He didn't play anybody. He played nobody. He played a terrible conference. All the defenses he played were garbage. You guys, I will never apologize for a player because of his schedule. He went to a college because he wanted to get education. He ended up playing the schedule that was put in front of him. What he did with that schedule is what makes him who he is. The guy ran for over 2. He almost broke Barry Sanders' record. He's a very good athlete. He's athletic. The guy is a very good athlete. I think he's going to be good in the NFL. It's a wait and see game. We're going to have to wait and see. But I can tell you guys right now, if Ashton Genty gets drafted by the Chargers and is playing behind that offensive line under one of the most pound the ball coaches in the NFL, nobody in this podcast, nobody in this chat at the end of the year is going to be like, man, Ashton Genty sucks. That guy sucks. He's going to be a 1,300 yard running back with 10, 11, 12 touchdowns, just like he did with J.K. Dobbins, like he's probably going to do with the guy who just went there from Pittsburgh, who's not, I don't think is a very good running back, but watch how good he looks into that system. It just depends on where these guys end up, guys. That's all it is. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like quarterbacks who get like how many people thought David Carr was going to be the next coming of God in the NFL, and the guy got sacked 78 times and sucked and played in the NFL for 3 years. You never know what's going to happen. It's a total crapshoot. We've talked about this on this podcast 1,000 times, but you should never apologize for the competition you're playing. There's nothing you can do about it. He doesn't get to pick his schedule.
And Illinois Jones is talking my language. And Erica likes Hampton. And again, I really think this running back class is so gosh darn deep that you're going to be picking 4th round running backs this year that are going to have impact in the NFL. And again, it's all fact-based opinion. It's not fact-based opinion, I should say, excuse me. It's just an opinion. And hey, if I'm wrong, I'm always the first one to admit it. Hey, I missed on this guy. And you know what? Maybe I'll be wrong, and Judkins will be, a 15, 100 yard running back in the NFL. I could be wrong with,
Yeah, like I said, Sean, you just like we talk. You guys, as far as if they decide to take Gianti, the Bears decide to take Gianti at number 10, and Bears fans are bitching about it, then you just don't like Ben Johnson because that was his pick. That's his pick.
Yeah.
That means that he went to Ryan Poles and was like, I need a guy like that to be on this team for this scheme to work and be successful. And if they decide to take Gianti, then that's Ben Johnson. So until like I said, until the Bears start 0-10, I'm not going to complain about Ben Johnson until I see the results on the field. That's it.
I'm going to clap back really quick. T, I love you, and we've never really, had some harsh words, but I'm just going to tell you, Detroit, how about you get to a Super Bowl, get to an NFC championship game, win it, and then we can start talking, because the Bears have accomplished those goals in their illustrious history. We also have, 9 championships to go with our illustrious history. So you guys are like Brewers fans. You win a division and you guys act like you accomplished something.
But we love you, T.
Just the division.
We do love you, T.
We do love you, T. Absolutely. No, but that's I'm done. You can bring it on. NFC North champs. Oh, I love it. I'd love to be NFC North champs again, but that's just a banner.
Listen, T.
Rings are what matter.
Lions fans should be happy about the fact that they can finally. They're looked at through a different lens now, guys. It's not like the laughing stock.
100%.
This is a good football team. They have a great roster. They have a good coach. They're going to be a formidable opponent for the Bears for at least 3 or 4 years until some of those guys, that roster starts to break apart a little bit. But yeah, T, it should be fun. I'm excited about the Bears playing the Lions. I think both those games are going to be absolutely amazing, and I cannot wait to watch them. Cannot wait.
Yeah. Hey, the Lions are the kings of the North right now until someone knocks them off their throne.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, you got to go out there and do it, right?
Yeah, and the Bears have the brain that helped create some of it here, trying to recreate that here. So whether you believe in Ben Johnson or not, you got to be.
Well, I think it's fair to say that the Bears are probably a year behind the Detroit Lions, right? I don't think this roster is complete. I think Caleb Williams now has to learn a whole new system all over again with brand new coaches, brand new players. So it's going to take a while for all this stuff to kind of gel together and become cohesive. But yeah. If I was a Lions, Vikings, or Packers fan, I'd be real worried about the Bears in 2026 when Caleb Williams is comfortable. And maybe he does that in 2025. I don't know. But
hey, Kyle, let me ask you this. Does Kyle break 4,000 yards and win?
What?
When does Caleb Williams break 1,000 yards or 4,000 yards?
When?
Yeah, this
I
year,
think
next year.
This season, but I think you also have to take into account the fact that that's become pretty standard in the NFL, guys. Breaking 4,000 yards in the NFL is not like some crazy feat, right? I mean,
It is for us.
CJ Stroud did it his first, for Bears fans for sure. But that's what I'm saying. You got to look at it from outside the box, right? So if you're not a Bears fan, if you're just a football fan, 4,000 yards isn't asking a lot from Caleb Williams, especially when they just signed DJ Moore and drafted Rome Odunze at number 9 overall. I mean, they just became the 5th highest paid offensive line in the NFL. What they're doing is exactly what Justin said on Monday, and I said on the show a couple weeks ago, guys, is they're eliminating excuses for Caleb Williams. Like, hey, man, we're going to give you the tools, but you got to go out there and execute and do it. Like, this is it. But yes, I think Caleb Williams is more than capable of throwing for 4,200 yards and 31 touchdowns this season. I think that should be, I want to say the expectation, but if he falls far short of that, then it's going to be a different conversation about Caleb Williams.
So basically, what you don't want to see is the same type of play that Caleb had this year.
You don't want to see major regression. Yeah, you don't want to see him or it be stale. Like there's no growth because they've done everything. Every move the Bears have made in this offseason is to benefit Caleb Williams. When you talk about the offensive line, you talk about even these receivers like Zacchaeus, when you talk about Ben Johnson being the guy that they went after in free agency, all these moves have been made to make Caleb Williams more comfortable in the NFL. So now he needs to go out there and prove that he is the guy that we think he is. Now, listen, I'm not saying, guys, that he has to throw 5,200 yards and 53 touchdowns and be Tom Brady. Like I said, he's a young quarterback in a brand new system. So there's going to be some stuff you see where you're going to be like, well, that's very uncharacteristic of Caleb Williams, but that's part of the learning curve. That's part of the process. I still expect Caleb Williams, by the time it's all said and done, when he's in the prime of his career, to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFC, if not the best quarterback in the NFC. As a matter of fact, guys, Brandon, Sean here, and Dustin were all talking about quarterback rankings for the NFC on Monday. And Brandon said right now, Jalen Hurts is probably the best quarterback in the NFC, right? Followed by Jared Goff. Yeah. I think there's a very good chance that both Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams supplant those guys as the two best quarterbacks in the NFC for the next 10 years. I think there's a very good chance of that. And that's not me being biased. That's me using the eye test and watching what these guys can do on the field. Caleb Williams might be the best quarterback in the NFL outside of the pocket. If you can give him a comfortable pocket and he can show that's those same traits inside the pocket that he does outside, how do you stop him? And like Vernon said on Monday, this is a guy, he is also capable of running for 600 yards. He's going to end up being a very dangerous player in the NFL. Very, very, and like Sean and Dustin and Vernon talked about, I love that backyard mentality. I love that. Hey, I don't want to see it all the time, but if the play breaks down, then Caleb, go be Caleb. Go do what you do, man. Yeah. I love it.
Kind of like Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers had that backyard mentality to him too, but
and he was that's what Caleb kind of mimics his game after him.
And he was able to compartmentalize it and use it when he needed to and get through his reads. And then when he had to make it happen, he'd get out and make it happen and do something. You're like, son of a bitch, he did it again, and I think there's gonna be a lot of teams we're playing. They're going to be saying that about Caleb Williams. Son of a bitch. He made that play again.
As an unbiased opinion, I'm not just saying this because I'm a Bears fan. I honestly, truly believe this. If I was a Packers, Vikings, or Lions fan, I would not be happy about the fact that the Bears landed Caleb Williams. That's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he ends up sucking. I don't know. But I would not be happy about it, guys. From you watch what the God-given talent, the things he can do on a football field, the stuff he does, that pass to DeAndre Swift on the right sideline last year, that not many people can do that in the NFL. That's just very rare. So just you take those traits and you expand them and grow on them and start to utilize his strengths, what he does best, and start to build the offense around that, that's why you brought Ben Johnson here, right? To be able to do that stuff. He's going to be a very dangerous quarterback in the NFL for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Really quick to Broski Bear says he wishes he could call in. Maybe we can get you on the show, Broski, and we can hash it all. We can hash it out. We have some people in here that your brother and Erica and Illinois Jones looking at tight ends. I agree with Brandon. I think Fannon's going to be a great pro. He's Bowling Green tight end. Tyler Warren at 10. We've talked about that on the show a couple times. I would not be opposed to it.
I wouldn't be upset about that at all, guys. No. I would. That guy is different. He's just different, man. He's just a different type of player. That guy is special. It's going to be. You guys talk about blue chip talent and how this draft is kind of limited when it comes to blue chip talent. I think that guy should be considered blue chip talent. You talk about one of those guys whose name is called every 30 seconds when you're watching a football game. That guy is all over the place. He's always around the ball.
Yep.
Always.
And thanks, Broski. I forgot about those 2 fumbles against Penn State as well. I don't know. I was all in on him until I watched that game, and I was like, wow, this is the closest that Jeanty has played to a pro style defense, and he just looked average.
Oh, Sean, maybe he had a bad day.
In your biggest game of your career,
We've seen
your
it. Right?
biggest bowl
Did
game.
you watch Rex Grossman in the Super Bowl?
Well, I never thought Rex Grossman was that great.
But that was also his worst day. He had 4 fumbles, bro. I mean,
hey,
what about Collins in the
Kyle,
NFC championship game?
Kyle, I have to say this. If you're saying he had a bad game, that's something I should be even more worried about, because he should be getting up for the bowl game, the biggest game of his career on the biggest stage on national television. I mean, we were sitting in our buddy's basement watching this game, and I'm just like, this is the guy? Like, he didn't look like the guy. And I keep harping on his lateral quickness. It showed up in that game against a quicker defense that was able to collapse those holes and get to him. Not only that, he didn't hold on to the ball. That's all I'm saying.
It's so funny that when people say, man, he played one of the best defenses in college and he looked like shit, but nobody ever talks about, okay, how does Boise State's offensive line compare to that Penn State defense?
Well, they led him to 2,000 yards in the Mountain West.
In the Mountain West, but then you put that offensive line up, like you guys keep saying, well, the Mountain West guys aren't going to be playing in the NFL. No, neither any of the Boise State offensive linemen guys. None of those guys are going to be playing in the NFL.
I didn't see any of them on the draft board. And that's a good point. That's a good point. I never looked at it that way.
You just never know. We never know. Jeanty could end up being an average running back in the NFL. He could be the next Saquon Barkley. Nobody has any idea. Nobody. And it's going to be fun to watch. That's the greatest part about the draft, is where these guys, like if I think if Jeanty goes to the Las Vegas Raiders, I do not think he's going to have a good rookie season, guys. I don't think the Las Vegas Raiders are a very good football team. And I don't think they know what they're doing. But if he goes to the Chargers, or if he goes to the Broncos with Sean Payton, I think it's a different story for Ashton Jeanty's rookie season.
Yeah.
Sean, where was Alvin Kamara drafted?
I think he was a second rounder. Let me double check.
He was drafted by Sean Payton. Sean Payton was in New Orleans when they drafted him, right?
Yeah, he was. Alvin Kamara. I think he might have even been a 4th rounder now that I'm thinking about it.
I think he was a 4th rounder.
I'm Googling it right now. Give me 1 second.
Oh, Dustin said 3rd rounder here, guys. Dustin said Kamara was taken in the 3rd round. I mean, so you see what I'm saying? Like, did anybody expect a 3rd round pick in Alvin Kamara to go to New Orleans and be one of the best running backs of his generation? No, nobody did.
67th overall pick. Dustin for the win.
Yeah,
dude, I'm a big Devin Neal guy. I'm still on Devin Neal.
I'm a Devin Neal guy too.
I just can't get away from him.
Dustin also says, if you're going to make the argument that he played against Mountain West talent, you have to acknowledge that he played with Mountain West talent around him. I agree with you, Dustin. That's the point I was trying to make. Like I said, guys, I'm not in love with Ashton Jeanty. If the Bears don't draft him and he's their 10 and they decide not to draft him, I'm not going to be like, oh my God, the Bears are so stupid. I just wouldn't count him out as being a very special player in the NFL. I think he has the traits to do so. Jay, where do you think Neal's going to go? Like, where do you think he's going to be picked?
When we talked about him, I think we had said somewhere around the 3rd or 4th round. So, I don't know, depending on how people value him, maybe he slips down to the 5th. He's not going to go in the first 2 rounds, though. I don't think so. Unless, again, teams see him and they see the same thing that I saw on tape and they're like, dude, this guy is going to be better. But
do you guys think there's a chance the Bears to have add 2 running backs? Do you think
in
that's
the draft?
Yeah.
That might be stretching it with all the needs that we have, but
maybe if there's someone like a LeQuint, what was his name? The Syracuse running back. I can't remember LeQuint. I can't remember his last name. And he's there. Maybe you get him as a special teams guy, but he's got incredible speed. You take him in the 7th round with one of your 2 7th round picks. If he's still there, I don't even know if he will be. He was in those silly draft that we were doing. The PFF drafts simulator is a lot more realistic to what I think the NFL draft would be like, and we could throw one up and do one if you guys want really quick.
We can't forget we still have Ian Wheeler that we'd love to see how he performs in play.
That's Sean and I have been talking about this guy after watching him in the preseason. I don't think you could possibly just count Ian Wheeler out as playing a role on this team. I think the guy, all he did was, like I said, people are like, oh, it was the preseason. all you can do is play the competition put in front of you guys. There's nothing you can do. You can't be like, hey, can I please play against the first stringers so I can stand a chance of making this team last year? If they say no, then they say no. That's how it is. He looked good. He was making good football cuts, good football moves, juke spins. He was breaking tackles. He looked like he loved the game of football, and he was getting the most out of every single carry he got. That's a guy the Bears have to at least look at in the preseason. You have to at least give him a shot, see what he's got, because I think he's capable of contributing to this team and doing it next year. Bernie Trex Hyatt says, what school did Barry Sanders go to? Justin says Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State, yep.
Walter Payton went to
HBCU. He went to Jackson State. There are small school running backs that have had success in the league.
Small school, every player that I've had.
Yeah, I'm just looking at here. It's just the eye test for me, dude. And I hate to say this, but draft analysis guys or these experts like Todd McShay and Mel Kiper, go back and look at their history. They're wrong a lot more than they are right about guys. Mel Kiper, personally, to me, sucks.
That's a tough job, man. What? That is a tough job, man. It's tough to attach your name to some. You're like, oh, this guy's gonna be the best in the world. A lot of people. I mean, Sam Bradford was supposed to be the best quarterback ever to play football. You see so many of these guys come out, and there's Jamarcus Russell was a first-round pick, but it's the general consensus. You watch the tape. All you can do is look at what they put in front of you. You just never know what's going to happen, man. Some of these guys just don't have what it takes to transition to the NFL. Or we've seen guys lately. We've started to prove that quarterbacks who stick around long enough, like Geno Smith and Sam Darnold, do end up adjusting to the NFL. It just takes them a lot longer than it does everybody else. It's a crapshoot, man. The NFL is tough. I feel some of these guys. I mean, obviously they're making millions of dollars. I don't feel bad for them, but. Man, it's tough to play in the NFL.
Erica says the Lions will fall apart without Ben and Aaron Glad. Good luck, T. And T says, okay. And then
they're still really talented. They still have a very, 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 very good roster.
They are. They're the kings of the North until otherwise.
Yeah, I agree with you. What you guys are saying, I think there's going to be a hitch in the giddy up there. There's probably going to be some adjustment period, but you can't just discount guys like Jahmyr Gibbs, Stephen Montgomery, Penei Sewell,
the entire offensive line,
St. Brown, Jamison Williams. Like that is a good football team.
Aiden Hutchinson.
He's coming back. Hutchinson, who had 7 sacks in 2 weeks or something.
It's a really
going to be the defensive player of the year, no doubt in my mind. He was going to be the defensive player of the year last year.
I'll say this. I don't know what J.J. McCarthy is going to bring, but if KOC can work the magic he did with what's his nuts? I can't think of his name right now. I'm sorry, guys. I've been sick all day, so my brain's a little bit slower today.
Sam Darnold, what he did with
Sam Darnold. If he can somehow build the offense around him, I mean, Minnesota's done a fantastic job in free agency. I mean, they've absolutely reloaded their roster. They've stocked their offensive line. They stocked the middle of their line. They've taken care of their weaknesses. They don't have a quarterback because we don't know what J.J. McCarthy is going to be. But Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson are about as deadly as they come on the outside. So
TJ Hockenson,
and TJ Hockenson's another one.
Yeah, and here's another good point by Trek right here, guys. Detroit had 9,700 injuries last year, and they still looked very impressive. I agree with Tracks. I mean, with the amount of injuries that team sustained and to still make it as far as they did, like there's a lot of teams who would just bow down. Dude, they were playing players on their defense who were working at Kmart like 2 weeks prior to them playing in the NFL. Like Detroit is a very good football team. I think. Sean, what's the GM's name there? The guy who kind of turned that whole team around.
Oh my God, why can't I think of his name?
I love that guy, man. I think I would love if the Bears decided to fire Ryan Poles and he decided to come to Chicago. I would be ecstatic. He's amazing what he's done there. You talk about their drafts, guys. We all made fun of them for trading out of Brad 6 Holmes and passing on Bijan Robinson to go to 12 and draft the second best running back in the draft. And Jahmyr Gibbs is every good as Bijan Robinson. I think Bijan Robinson would be just as good as Jahmyr Gibbs if he had that offensive line.
Right.
I think Bijan Robinson is a very talented player. But
if you guys remember, there was a lot of people dogging that draft for the Lions.
Yeah.
Saying
these
amazing draft. They had other needs. You know, Jack Campbell,
Laporta, Branch. I mean, that was an amazing
and they said
draft.
Jack Campbell was a bad draft pick as well, and that guy could play some football, man.
Yeah, so probably the worst of the bunch, but it's not a bad player. I think he's necessary.
I don't disagree with TJ Warren. Seems to be a perfect fit for Ben. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
I'm a TJ Warren guy. I really am, man. You know,
I just don't know if the Bears' value of that 10th overall pick matches the need for Tyler Warren. You know what I mean? I think they just have bigger needs that they maybe have
but
to
if you're drafting best player available, I mean Tyler Warren's definitely in that conversation. If that's the way the Bears are going.
Vernon just put in the chat here, guys. Like if he ends up being the best tight end in the NFL, which I'm not saying he will, but if say he did, and people always making fun of these picks. Oh, Torrey Taylor, maybe fourth round pick, but now you have the best puncher in the NFL. You have the best tight end in the NFL. You might have the best, whatever. You keep taking the best at every position. Eventually, your team's going to be pretty damn good. I promise. Just keep taking the best you can find. Like that's the goal, right? You should have the best tight end, the best running back, the best wide receiver, the best tackle, the best quarterback. You're going to be a damn good team who wins a lot of championships. If they think that he's going to be like a generational type tight end, then take him. Take him. Absolutely take him. You got 5 more picks to work with. Take him.
To Erica's point here, I think Caleb Williams had about as good as year as he could for what he was given. I mean, he was given a pile of crap, and they said, here, see what you can do with it. Jaden Daniels, they actually went out and signed 3 linemen, built that offensive line, and got ready for a rookie quarterback, the one thing the Bears negated. So, I personally – I like what I saw, and that's what you wanted to see, the awareness, the skill, the pocket presence, those off-schedule throws, the alertness to get out of the pocket. Nothing was perfect for him, and he did have some overthrows because he came in, his deep ball was supposed to be really good, and he overthrew it a lot, but I still think that was happy feet, worried about being sacked, being under pressure, and I think a lot of that's going to be alleviated this year, and I think a lot of people are going to see exactly what
Sean, you made this point 100 times last year, and it's a great point, something I didn't even think about that you brought up to me. Jaden Daniels, guys, he looked more comfortable because he's 25 years old. Of course, he's played a lot more football than Caleb Williams. That's why he looks more comfortable. He's been doing it for a lot longer. How old is Jaden Daniels? 26?
I think he's going to be 26 this year.
Yeah, I mean,
you're only going to get like 5 years out of the guy.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's been playing football for a long time now. He should look more comfortable than Caleb Williams. Like, I've been bartending for 17 years. If Jason and Sean step behind the bar, start making drinks, I would run circles around them. That's just how it is. I mean, practice makes perfect, guys. Experience is key. And if Jaden Daniels has been playing football,
he's going to be 25 this year.
Who was playing in the NFL with him? Wasn't there a guy who played in the NFL or played in college with Jaden Daniels, and he's been in the NFL for like 5 years now?
Hold on, say again.
He was playing collegiate football at the same time as Jaden Daniels, and he's been in the NFL for it was like Marcus Mariota. It was somebody ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. I remember hearing that.
Was it Tremaine Edmonds? Tremaine Edmonds played against Jaden Daniels.
We talked about that because Tremaine's been in the league for like 8 years, but he's only like 25 or some weird shit like that.
Tremaine Edmonds, I think, played against him in a game in college, and he's been in the NFL for what, 6 years now? I mean, Jaden Daniels has been playing football for a long time.
So Trey says it's the on-schedule plays that concern him about Caleb. He's not worried about the off-schedule plays. I don't know.
What's up, Jediah? Thanks for joining us, man.
The problem, Trey, is that the unscheduled plays that were called last year were garbage, right? Everybody was in the same zone. Where's he supposed to throw the ball?
It was a very loose schedule.
Let's see. Caleb will throw for 5,555 yards and 50 touchdowns and very little interceptions. Trax, if that's true, the Bears probably are.
They're winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they're winning.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, hey,
the Super Bowl guy.
I'm not going to put anything past anything, dude. Caleb had a lot of things.
Caleb had a great rookie season, considering the circumstances and taking 68 sacks. He had a very, very good rookie season. I expect him to improve, get better every year. And I think next year he's going to make that leap somewhere around week 6, 7, 8 when he's comfortable in Ben Johnson's offense and they start to open up that playbook a little bit more. I think Caleb's going to be a very, very dangerous player in the NFL.
Let's not
enjoy it while you can, T.
Let's not forget that my boy, Mr. Olin Kreutz over there did mention that you really need to think about, and a lot of people don't mention it, that Caleb Williams, more than a couple of times this year, late in games, put the Bears in situations to win the football game.
He did.
Both Detroit games, both Green Bay, which one of them we won. Minnesota. I mean, Washington. His mentality was great. I that to me was an eye test that I was looking for. I wasn't expecting him to destroy the world because rookie quarterbacks typically don't. Jaden Daniels is an aberration. But when you see a quarterback that can do that, because we've almost never had one besides maybe Jay Cutler, and maintain a really good attitude, not bitch and moan about everything publicly, and honestly still put up pretty good numbers considering that the play call, like I just said, was garbage.
Yeah, I agree, Jason.
He's
He's the consummate professional. And the fact that he was capable of putting us in game-winning situations almost half the season, just particularly against the NFC North, that just shows a sign of things to come, guys. You're going to see a lot of that going forward. He's going to be one of those guys where they're like, he has 45 game-winning touchdown drives in his career. I 100% believe he's going to be one of those.
You want
guys.
your quarterback to be the reason you win.
Another thing they talked about, Olin Kreutz talked about, I don't know if you guys heard the interview or not, but he said when you have a shorter, I didn't even think about this, but he's like, when you have a shorter quarterback like Caleb Williams, who measures in at 6'1",
Yep.
the interior of the offensive line is so much more important than the tackle position, because when big, tall, strong quarterbacks can step up into that pocket with their center right in front of their face and still throw over their line. Short quarterbacks need that 2-3 yards of space in front of them to be able to see the field. And that's why the Bears were so adamant about addressing this interior of the offensive line, because Caleb Williams, once those guys start to back up into his face, he has a real tough time seeing over them. And signing Drew Dahlman and particularly Joe Thuney is huge for him, man, because he's actually going to be able to have a pocket where he could still look around the field and gauge to see who's open. He didn't have that last year, guys. Even in the plays where he didn't take a sack, he had to get out of that pocket, or it wasn't much of a pocket. What was it? You guys remember that game? Was it Minnesota where the pocket collapsed around Caleb and all of a sudden the ball came flying out to DeAndre Swift? I'm like, where is he? I couldn't even see him. In there.
Trax, I believe LaDainian Tomlinson was San Diego State, wasn't he?
Yes, he was San Diego State.
Yeah, San Diego State.
Illinois Jones, I believe Eberflus is the worst coach in Bears history. With all of
Mark Trestman?
I think Matt Eberflus is worse than Mark Trestman, yes.
Dr. Death?
At least Mark Trestman was we were told he was an offensive guru. When he was here, the Bears scored points. Yeah. when Eberflus was here, they did nothing. They did nothing.
He said
I think
7 years.
I think Trestman had one of the greatest offensive seasons for Chicago Bears history. Yeah.
I'm
not a fan of Trestman.
Neither am I.
I hated Mel Tucker.
And I hate Matt Nagy. But Matt Eberflus had nothing the best of all time in Bears. Nothing about Matt Eberflus was the best of all time in Chicago Bears history. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Well, the players agree with you guys for sure.
Yeah.
The fact that,
for me,
those rankings
Maurice
came out.
Jones-Drew went to an HBCU, right?
Maurice Jones-Drew was a UCLA Bruin, I believe. Okay. I'm Googling him right now because I want to say UCLA, but I'm not 100%. I'm looking at it right now.
Little bowling ball.
He was a UCLA Bruin. He was the second round, 60th overall pick. And I'm not even going to look up Danny Woodhead. Sorry, Trax.
MJD's silhouette is a square. I mean, that guy was just
Maurice Jones-Drew was the most awkward-looking football player I've ever watched in my life. Man, he was just an awkward-looking guy. I like him. Yeah, I think he was a very good player.
He was a fantasy stud for like 5 years.
And again, I'm not saying small school running backs cannot be good. I'm just doubting this one right here for his greatness, especially the pundits out there that are comparing him to Barry freaking Sanders.
I'm not
makes me laugh.
For the record. I'm not comparing for the record in no way, shape, or form. I just said he almost set Barry Sanders' collegiate record. I don't think he's going to beat Barry Sanders.
No. There's a lot of I've read a lot of articles that say, "Oh, this is the next Barry Sanders." He reminds me of Barry Sanders.
That's insane.
I haven't seen anything
like Barry Sanders.
I've seen nothing that reminds me of Barry freaking Sanders, dude.
Anybody to say that is absolutely ridiculous.
Nobody has ever looked like Barry Sanders.
No,
it's Barry
Sanders. They never will. He's one of a kind, dude. Just like Walter Payton, they're one of a kind, man. And nobody's ever going to look like Saquon. Nobody's ever going to look like Derrick Henry. They're their own player that they set their own standard.
Yeah, Barry Sanders would run backwards 15 yards to gain 30. Like, it was the most insane. Yeah, he had some small runs, but it seemed like every run he had on the field, he ran 40 yards. I mean, he've only gained 8, but he ran.
And
40.
Saquon jumps backwards over people.
Yeah.
Yeah. he certainly does. Was
Well,
that was
You want to get
that was
into?
play of the year, wasn't it?
Yeah, play of the year.
One of the top for sure.
Yeah, Saquon. That's the play of the year. Voted on by the writers.
Like he was setting himself up for that. You saw him look and then turn his body. He was like
Amazing.
before the
One of
defender.
the coolest
got there,
things I've seen watching the NFL.
Yeah.
I
It was
love
like,
that.
oh, is this Madden? No, this is real life.
Sean, I think you know that game together, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I jumped off my chair, man. I'm not an Eagles fan. I was like, that is the craziest shit I've ever seen. I'm like, he just jumped over that guy backwards, dude.
I didn't say anything. I think my mouth was just on the floor looking
It
at
was
it. Like,
amazing.
that can't be real.
Hey, Trax, if you Google it, I'm not saying what his pro comp is because I've seen him beat Kamara and Tomlinson. I'm saying there's people out there that have been talking on radio shows. There's been some people on ESPN, Fox Sports 1, in their conversations that have said Genty reminds them of Barry Sanders. And I just laugh at it because I don't believe that. So
Illinois Jones, I agree with you 100%. I told Sean this. I wanted the Bears never even talked about signing Derrick Henry. They only talked about DeAndre Swift and Saquon Barkley. I don't know why he was never involved in that conversation. I think it was ridiculous that the Bears just completely ignored Derrick Henry. The fact that he was a free agent, he should have been in that conversation. He would have been a better signing than DeAndre Swift. Now you'd be going to get your Jahmyr Gibbs because you already have your David Montgomery. I think the Bears missed out on that. I think he wasn't the cheapest too. How much did Derrick Henry get?
I don't think a lot because of his age. I think
In terms of
he was
guarantees,
undervalued.
he was the cheapest. I know that. He was the cheapest in terms of guarantees.
I mean, the Bears were close to signing Saquon Barkley as well, you know?
Yeah.
We did try, yeah.
He got 2 years, $16 million, and he is going to make 2025. His base salary is $6 million this year.
Yeah, because DeAndre Swift got 3 or 24 million, so they're making basically the same amount of money. And Derrick Henry is 10 times better than DeAndre Swift could ever be, and that's no disrespect to DeAndre Swift because Derrick Henry is one of the best ever to play football,
Right.
ever.
Yeah.
He's amazing. Talk about a guy who's fun to watch. Derrick
Yeah,
Henry
because he
is one of
looks
my
like a
favorite
man
players.
playing with children. It's
Yes,
insane.
every play he's throwing some poor young football player
Like,
to the floor like he's a rag doll.
like some
Oh,
225-pound like linebacker just gets stiff armed into the turf. It's
Brandon
amazing.
tends to think that he does run similar to Barry Sanders. So, we're going to all find out come September. It's a conversation I think that's going to be going on for months.
Isn't
but
that
once
the
he gets
exciting part,
drafted,
though, guys? Isn't that what the exciting part is? Getting to watch all these young kids come in the NFL, try
Yeah.
to make their impact. I love it. Football is the greatest time of year.
you want to know too. We're gonna have some idea in about what's the draft? 45 days away or something like that. 55 days away, something like that. I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head.
6 weeks?
Hey, and I'll
6
tell
weeks.
you what, everybody in the chat room, we're going to have a live draft show. So do a little split screen or come join us at River Street. But, we'll see what happens if the Bears pick Genty. You'll see our reactions live.
Yeah,
Well, oh yeah,
it's gonna be awesome. Can't wait, man.
36 days. Track says 36 days.
This is always the toughest time of year for football fans, man. After free agency's died down and pretty much everybody
Yeah.
signed who they're going to sign, and you're waiting for that draft. It's rough.
You're like antsy. Like, come on, draft.
You go on your phone every day, like Bears updates and news and rumors, and it's like nothing. You're like, damn.
Let's talk about some of these before we put a bow on this thing. I really like this. There was some rule change proposals that were sent out today. I really like this by the Eagles. I was been wondering why they don't do this anyways, because I only think it's fair that both teams have a possession in overtime. So I really like this.
This is the rule proposed, guys, to align postseason and regular season overtime rules by granting both teams an opportunity to possess the ball, regardless of the outcome of the first possession, subject to a 15-minute overtime period in the regular season. Yeah, I don't know why they ever changed the rules for overtime. I think it's dumb. I think it should be just like playoff hockey, or you get that extra quarter, that extra period. You see who the best team is after.
Well, yeah,
instead of
because if you lose the
45.
coin toss, you lose overtime, and then the
Yeah,
game.
I mean,
What-
it's
It's stupid.
you're gambling both these teams' entire season and the future of their season
Right.
on a flip of a coin. What is this? It's not recess. Like this is two multi-billion-dollar organizations, guys. It's the
Not
same
a
as like
fan.
the same thing we talked about. Like the NFL still has these two fat guys pulling chains around to see if a team got a first down. Like, guys, this needs to be like computer like you need to figure this out. Like tennis has done, where it's a computerized court and they can tell you where the ball lands exactly wherever it lands. I mean, it should be the same thing in the NFL. It's the most profitable sport in the United States of America. Like, it's time to catch up.
Let's see here. Another rule to eliminate an automatic first down as a penalty opposed for defensive holding and illegal. I don't even understand this.
That's
like
the dumbest thing. I would just hold on every play.
Right.
I would hold on every play.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like, AT, I don't know what your organization is proposing here, but
why would that even be in a conversation?
I think they were very high in holding penalties last year.
Yeah, they were number one. Number one. And by far, guys. It was 29. I think the second place team had like 21.
I don't that rules, they're gonna laugh in the owners' meetings when they propose that.
Let's see. To prohibit an offensive player from pushing a teammate who is lined up directly behind the snapper and receives the snap immediately at the snap.
They're trying to stop the tush push.
Yeah, tush push.
Then stop it. Learn how to stop it. Get better at it. Like
build your trenches.
You do the tush push.
Here, I hate to say this to everybody, but the only team that can successfully pull this off is the Eagles. There's no other team that is successful at it.
Why are the Packers always trying to cost me money, man? You bet on Jalen Hurts scoring a rushing touchdown every game, and you win 10 weeks out of 18. Like, they're always screwing stuff up for the rest of us, these Packers. Like, I agree with Jason. If you can't stop it, then give up, forfeit.
Yeah, it's your fault.
Try to find a way to stop it, man.
It's like saying, you know what, we're going to take away the forward pass now because these teams are just throwing the ball all over us, and we don't know how to stop
Brady's
it.
5,000-yard season is just too much, guys. It's getting out of hand. Yeah, man. If you stop it. If you don't like it, then stop it. That's what I say. And, it'd be one thing if you guys, every single time they did this, there was a torn ACL or a broken arm or something, but that's not happening.
Right.
They haven't proven that play is more dangerous than any other play in football in any way, shape, or form. So
I don't think anybody's really gotten hurt on it.
Right, Sean. Well, since we did the rules, before we get out of here, Sean is a college basketball expert, guys. And
well, not expert, but
knows a lot.
He's the 4-star.
Most every roster of every team in the country. I can tell you that, which is pretty impressive because that's a lot of college basketball teams. But Sean, give us your outline here. Just where you think the way you think this thing is going. Who do you think is going to make the Elite Eight, Final Four? Let's hear it. Man.
Well, before we say that, we're going to be doing a bracket show next on CSP. I'm sorry, my brain is working really slow today, guys. On CSP right after this, about 8:00. Michael, myself, and Darius, and we're going to dive into all of these teams. We're going to give you some special bets. And before we get in there, there's a special app called Wanna Parlay. Download that so as we're giving you guys this information, you guys can plug those bets in and break the bank because we're going to give you some awesome advice, percentages, all types of stuff that we're going to have cooking here in just a little bit. So jump on that, download that Wanna Parlay app, load it up with some cash, and then get ready to double that cash over the week, over the next 4 days, because we're going to set you up proper dopper. For me,
Wanna Parlay app on the App Store. It's just like DraftKings FanDuel. It's a new one. It's up and coming. You guys go check it out. It's awesome.
Right, we not own him, so we're not getting money off of it.
Yeah, not yet. For me, I've been a proponent of the Florida Gators. If you're looking for some early first round upsets, some of my favorites to start here. I'm just looking over. I love New Mexico over Marquette. There's a guard on that team named Donovan Dent. If you have not seen this kid play, he's a straight baller. He's freaking awesome. Marquette's been kind of up and down. Cam Jones is really good. It's going to be an awesome game. It's one of my favorite first round games. But I do have New Mexico beating that. They've been red hot to end the season. Guys, I'm a big Yale guy. Polkadis on that team and Mbing are.
That's where Sean went, guys.
What's that?
That's where Sean went to school, guys.
Oh, yeah. I wish. Yale. So last year they pulled a 4-13 upset. They knocked Auburn out of the tournament, and they moved on. They're bringing back their same team. Mez Mbing is the Ivy League's all-time leading stealer. I think he has 191 steals. He averages about 2.5 steals per game. He's going to be matched up with a fantastic player on Texas A&M, Wade Taylor the fourth. Absolutely fantastic basketball player. It's my favorite matchup of the entire first round. I cannot wait to see these two and how that, because Wade Taylor is the straw that stirs that drink for A&M. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I do have Yale, and we were just talking about this. I have Yale upsetting Michigan and finally going down to Auburn in the Sweet 16. Let's see. I love Utah State to pull the upset over UCLA. UCLA had trouble scoring, and Utah State plays an incredible zone that's going to make it a little bit harder for UCLA to run their offense. So I like that 7-10 matchup. I know 7-10 matchups are always, the happy picks. I like Maryland too. And if you guys are really feeling frisky, Maryland's 5 starters, Reese, Queen, Rice, and Miguel, and I'm forgetting one. There's one more, but they're 5. They're not very deep at all. But those 5 can line up and play with anybody in the country. And if they stay hot and they stay out of foul trouble, Maryland could be a big-time problem for a lot of people, including the team that I think is going to win it all in the Florida Gators. That's going to be tough. Be careful with Texas Tech. They're missing Darren Williams and Chance McMillan. I tried to look today. Still no update on their status. Darren Williams, they might be able to overcome, but Chance McMillan at the guard position, that's a big loss for Texas Tech. And unfortunately, I have them moving on pretty deep, so I'm trying to play the odds that they are going to get healthy because they shoot the ball really, really well. They play some good defense. They mix it up really well. And guys,
John, how far do you think Michigan's going to make it in this tournament?
I was just going to ask that. That San Diego's that UC San Diego, that's a really tough matchup for them.
UC San Diego, man, they haven't played a top 25 team all year. But they did finish 30-4. They finished 18-2, I believe it was, in their conference. Their last 10 games. Now they're 10-0. Michigan is 6-4. Obviously playing in a much tougher conference, Michigan, as they finish their season playing some of the best teams in the country and in this tournament. It's a 2-point spread, man. I have Michigan playing Yale, and I have Yale beating Michigan. The one thing that I take away, and the one thing I'll say is buyer beware with Michigan in this upset is Michigan's going to be coming in playing off that short rest. They had to play the 4 games in 4 days in the Big Ten tournament. They're going to now play in high altitude out in Denver. San Diego State's been relaxing. I know everyone says, they're 20-year-old kids. They should be fine. Guys, playing 4 basketball games in 4 days, getting up and traveling across the country is a really tough thing to do no matter what your age is. And now you're dealing with altitude on top of that. So it's tricky. I have Yale again. I have Michigan surviving that matchup. My number one reason for that is I believe UC San Diego's tallest player is 6'8", and Michigan runs their defense through offense through Wolf and Golden. So these are both 7-footers. I don't know how UC San Diego is going to stop these guys, honestly, and they can both facilitate from the post and kick it out to their guards. So I don't like this matchup. I don't like them against Yale because I think Yale can light it up from everywhere. And they're writing last year's Cinderella story, bringing everyone back. I'm a big Yale fan in this draft or in this pool. I'm trying to see if I have any.
I got one for you. How far does Illinois go?
Illinois. I love Illinois. And I know people look at Illinois and they're like, Illinois had this up and down season. Illinois had a lot of injuries that they dealt with. But you got Will Riley, Avicek, and Jaconis there. Jesus, dude. These are unfreaking believably good. They finished 17th in the net ranking. I actually have Illinois going to play Houston, I believe, and losing to Houston in the Elite Eight. If they do get past the winner of Texas Xavier tonight and the Kentucky beats Troy, which I think Kentucky, I know the 3-14 upset with Kentucky is at 20%. It's the highest 3-14 upset Guys, I'm telling you, I already bet it. I took Kentucky minus the 9.5. I think it's jumped to 11.5. I think Kentucky's going to absolutely dog Troy. I don't think it's going to be that much of a basketball game. And then I got Illinois, Kentucky, which is going to be, I think, one of the best games in this tournament. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Both of them can run, get up the court, and shoot. And you got to remember Jackson Robinson is out for Kentucky. They are getting Lamont Butler back, but that's a huge loss in that backcourt. He's a huge component. I don't think that matters against Troy. I think it will matter if they play Illinois, who can light it up from everywhere.
Sean, you got a
Go
comment here. Illinois Jones says, I think Michigan State goes to the Final Four. It's Izzo season. What do you think about that?
Well, I'll tell you my Final Four that I have. I have Michigan State, Florida, Duke, and Houston. I have Houston versus Florida, and I have Houston. I have Florida winning the national championship. I'm just going to say this, guys. Kelvin Sampson's due for a run. He's been a number 1 seed 3 years in a row, made it to the Final Four last year. I think this team, they're the only team in the country that makes you play the way they want you to play, and that is huge. They drag you down defensively. They can shoot the rock. And Milos Uzan, I said this on our bracket show on Sunday when the brackets came out. Milos Uzan for Houston, I think, is a sensational player. And I think he could be one of the MOPs of this tournament. I really, really do. I think they're going to coast. They got Tugler. They got Juwan Roberts down low. I just don't know how anyone on the other side, I don't know how anyone matches up against Florida. Florida is loaded at every position. I love Florida. But I got Houston versus Florida, and I do have Michigan State in the Final Four. And I think Michigan State, Florida would be a fantastic basketball game too. I just think Florida's size, man, with Hauk who can play down low and then get out and pick and pop. And then you have Condon there and Clayton, the transfer, and Richard, the transfer. I mean, these transfers for them, unlike my boys at the University of Kansas, these guys have come right in and they've fit this system, and they've been on cruise control. You guys got to remember, when it comes to Florida, they have 2 wins over Alabama, 2 wins over Tennessee. They mopped. I shouldn't say mopped, but they did beat Auburn at Auburn. They have 5 wins over the top.
Didn't they beat Tennessee by like 50?
They did in Gainesville. I don't know if it was 50, but it was pretty close. It was pretty close. And this is when Tennessee was the number 1 team in the
ranked
country.
number 1. Right?
Yeah, they beat them like a drum. We were actually playing darts at Bamboozles that day, Jay. I turned around. I'm like, holy crap, dude.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I got one for you, Sean, that I think might be a possible upset, or at least a very good game. Is that Iowa State Lipscomb game?
Yes. Dude. God. Linscomb? Oh, yeah. Dude, check this out. I'm going to tell you something about Linscomb. And Jay, you are 100% right on this, because when it comes to Linscomb, they can shoot the freaking rock like no team in the country. And Tayshaun Gilbert for Iowa State is out for this game. He's out for the tournament, which really severely hurts Iowa State. He was their best on-ball defender. He was their second leading scorer. And when it comes to Linscomb, they absolutely hunt the three. They average 10 made threes a game. They have a 41, a 35, a 43, a 39, and a 33% three-point shooters on their team. All they do is hunt. And if they're hot, Iowa State could be in trouble, man. That's a good one, Jason. That's a really, really good one.
So let me ask you this.
I agree, Brandon. I agree, Brandon. I don't think Kelvin Sampson does get his flowers enough.
Yeah.
And hopefully he can get to this national championship. And even if he can't win it, hopefully he does get some respect, because that's the last dot he needs to be that Hall of Fame coach. You know what I mean?
The last big question I would ask you then is, how big of an impact is Cooper Flagg's injury going to affect Duke?
You know, I wish it was like the NFL, where they could be transparent a little bit more, because I've been hunting every day for someone like Memphis. Memphis has Tyrese Hunter, who they're saying they don't know if he's going to play, and they're kind of just leaving it out there. But I'll tell you this, man. if Cooper Flag doesn't play in this tournament, I still do think that they have a chance to make a run. But if Cooper Flag is out, I think he'll be back next weekend. If he can play the way he plays, that Arizona Duke matchup is the only matchup I see where Duke has a problem until they get into the Final Four. You know, Tommy Lloyd has got those boys rolling. They were a top team to begin the year. They fell off. I think they lost like 4 out of 5 to start the year. But, man, Arizona's been rolling down towards the end of the season. They did lose to Kansas and Lawrence, and they lost to Houston in the Big 12 championship. But, hey, no one's beat Kansas on senior day in 42 years, and Houston is Houston. They're boa-constricted defense. They will strangle you. They will make you play the way they want you to play.
And they hit a lot of threes.
And they hit, yeah. I'm telling you guys, the most underrated guy in this tournament is going to be Milos Uzan. And if Houston's in that Final Four or in that national championship game, he's going to have a huge, huge part of it, man. He really is.
Duke looked pretty good without Cooper Flag. They
did. But, you know, for me, the ACC – the ACC is just not up to par to the SEC and some of these other teams, and Duke or some of these other leagues.
And SEC had 87% of their teams make it into the conference. Everybody else is at like 70%.
And if you go back and look, one of Duke's losses this year was to
Kansas.
Sorry, it's slipping my brain. It was lost to God. I really need to be feeling better here. I'm going to have it right now. They beat Illinois 110-67, which Illinois was very injured for that game, guys. They were missing, I think, 3 players in that game. So don't draw off of that. They lost to Auburn 84-78. And that's kind of when I draw back and say, hey, man, they did get tripped up by Clemson as well in the ACC. Clemson obviously is a hot pick at that 5. Clemson went on that amazing run with Brad Barnwell. He had him rolling in the tournament last year. But, you know, when it comes to Duke, I think they're talented. They're tall, and they have Cooper Flag. Houston, again, Arizona's the only thing I see tripping them up. I think anyone would be foolish to not have him in their Final Four, especially if Cooper Flag gets back. And I'll be honest, if I'm John Shire, you probably don't need him against the 16 seed, so I wouldn't play him I would not play him like here in whenever they play Thursday or Friday. I'm not sure what day they play, but
or maybe even if you're down late, bring him off the bench.
Yeah, something like that. But take it easy with them. You know what I mean?
Oh, here's one that just popped into my head. How far does St. John's go? The darling of the tournament this year.
Yeah, that's the team everybody's talking about right now. I mean, St. John.
Well, I'll tell you guys a little story here about St. John's. So, and it's not really a big story, but it has to go with teams that win the national championship.
Didn't they have somebody die or something like that?
No.
Like an old coach or
95% of the national champions have ranked 21st and better in adjusted offense efficiency. 95% of the winners are ranked 37th or better in adjusted defense efficiency. So this year, those teams, for you guys filling out your bracket, I'll give you the 9. Duke is first overall. They're 3rd in offense, 4th in defense. Florida, 2nd, 1st in offense, 10th in defense. Houston is 3rd, 10th in offense, 2nd in defense. Auburn is 2nd in offense, 12th in defense. Tennessee, 18th in offense, 3rd in defense. Alabama, 4th in offense, 32nd. They're just under that cusp. Texas Tech, 6th in offense, 37th. They're at the line. Gonzaga, who will have to play, I believe, Houston in the second round if they win their 8-9 matchup, which is a crime that they're a 9. They're 9th and 29th. And then you have Iowa State, who has that massive injury with Tayshaun Gilbert at 20th in offense and 9th in defense. You know who's not on that list? St. John's. St. John's defense or offensive efficiency is 65th in the country. So that's the one thing that worries me about St. John's. I think they're going to take this ride, but they're going to have run into Florida down the road, and I think they're going to have a little bit of a problem there. You got to look at the analytics and the numbers when it comes to these tournaments because they're so hard to predict. And I'm sure next week when we're doing this bracket show, my bracket's probably going to have a big turn on it already. But, I'm just going to try and go off of the statistics. So I have a lot of these teams that were in that top 10 that I just read you. I have a lot of them in my Sweet 16. So, and we're going to go over all of this in about 30 minutes, about 15 minutes on CSP's bracketology show that we got coming up. We're going to start you off with some Bears and then brew you into some brackets. And we're going to have Michael's brain to pick and Darius' brain to pick. So make sure you get that Wanna Parlay app downloaded, deposit some money into it, and then let's go.
All right, guys. I'd say that's pretty much all that's going on in sports right now. Sean, you got a show to get
Hi,
to.
Bruce.
It's a nice little show. What up, Bruce?
Yep.
What's up, guys?
Bruce, how'd we do?
Pretty good. Awesome.
Just pretty good.
All right, guys.
Well, sure.
We want to say thanks to all the listeners: Illinois Jones, Brandon, Liz, Broski, Brandon Trax Hyatt, Dustin, Erica, Bruce, obviously, Jediah. Appreciate you joining us. It's been a while, man.
T, we still love you, buddy. You stopped
Mish.
talking, but we like you.
Yeah. Everybody's T. Sorry if we missed you. Daniel, Jeffries, you guys, we appreciate all you tuning in. Thank you so much. Remember, guys, we're going to have a live show
April 24th.
April 24th at River Street Tavern. At what time we start, Sean? Do you know what time
We're going to start it at 6. And unfortunately, because it's not football season, we are going to be giving away 2 Cubs tickets, I believe, to an early May game. I'm still waiting on my guy to get back to me, but it's going to be an early May game. I told him to please try and get me a 7 o'clock start so no one has to take off of work for it. They can head over after work. And it might be that Monday game, Kyle's birthday, actually. But I'm looking into some tickets I'm working with my guy right now, and I'll have some details here over the next week on the day. But I told him, please, 6:40, 7:10 game. So,
hey, I think I got a couple things we can give away too.
And as always, we'll have pictures, autograph pictures. I'm going to start getting on the hunt and reaching out to some of my contacts and see what we can give away, get framed out.
And you guys, to win all this stuff, it's just a 50-50 raffle. All the proceeds go to charity, Bears Care Charity. So it's just for a good cause. It's a lot of fun every time we do it there. Everybody has a great time. We'll be out there April 24th. Sorry, Sean.
No, go ahead.
River Street Tavern. It's 102 North River Street, East Dundee, guys.
And just remember, don't forget about the Jayhawks in the tournament. They could be the sleeper of the year.
They could be sleeping after the first.
Before we get out of here,
anything you want to get out there before you wrap up?
Shit, fuck Green Bay.
All right. Yeah. Let's go. That a boy. Awesome.
Hey,
Love
don't forget
Appreciate you.
Dustin and Brandon. We're going to be on tomorrow on the Bare Minimum, and they're going to have the Bear Country Podcast guys are going to be joining them. It's going to be a crossover show. It should be a lot of fun. They're going to probably have a whole bunch of shenanigans and a whole bunch of stuff. So we'll be tuning in. Y'all tune in. Yeah. Stay safe out there, everybody. Hop over to CSP. We'll get you some bracket knowledge. We'll try and break your bank. We love y'all. Thank y'all.
Jason, thanks for joining us.
Yep, thank you. Peace.